Basilisk, and spawning in the top left-hand side of the map. For you kind of threw the camera off to an angle where I can no longer read the team name. So there we go, Basilisk, it is, Trigger.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Beautiful. Bottom right-hand side of the map, our blue Zerg is, of course, Scarlett from the Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, I think Basilisk a relatively new team, right? I haven't heard of the team outside of Trigger.
They're pretty badass, man. They donated like $16,000 to Homestory.
What? That's insane. That's awesome.
Paid every player there $500 on top of their current prize money.
Wow.
Really cool guys.
Brilliant.
Yeah, they're really cool guys. Just they have like a Valorant team. Yeah, they're just super cool to talk to. Love StarCraft. Yeah, they're just excited to be part of the community, and yeah, they've been running some events and stuff. So yeah, shout out to Basilisk.
Hells yeah, big shout out to Basilisk then, and thank you Wardy for making us all aware of how wonderful they are, as they also picked up one of the, obviously they're quite in touch with the game and love it enough to know that Trigger is the guy to pick up right now, so that is really cool as well, as Trigger's going to be harassing the middle line of Scarlett here to begin with. Scarlett gonna put one of her drones on it, even though she takes it off of the 16 out of 16 saturation. This is a little bit more common of a move as of late. Dark usually just tags it on and leaves it there, but most players will attempt that counter micro here by just clicking on the right minerals.
Yep, just getting that little bit of early micro underway. Nothing too wild. What do you actually expect in this series, Cass? Like, what kind of builds do you think we're going to see? What kind of games do you think we're going to get? Do you think it's going to be like short and aggressive, kind of feisty, or do you think we do get some long drawn out stuff?
I think it's kind of up to Trigger, right? Because a lot of the time it's very difficult to initiate aggression in CVP. But if anyone will do stuff like that in the NA region, it could very well be Scarlett. As we see the aim high split screen that everyone loves in the chat. Thank you very much to the US Air Force for that. And yeah, it's really up to Trigger, I think, to dictate the pace of the game. To answer your question, where did you? I think Scarlett is very likely to react, and I was mentioning it last time, but she is the type of player that will be like looking to punish her opponent if she thinks that they are doing something illegal, as she calls it. That's an illegal move. You cannot get away with that. That is too greedy or maybe too aggressive or anything like that. Like if it's out of bounds, she will look for the punish.
Yeah, no, that's very true. As you obviously just saw those lings scan around, pretty big point of the attention from both players there being spent. So just gonna see a little bit of that, but yeah, cool to see the split screen. Cool to see what they're both looking at, and obviously ready for some more here very soon. Or a little bit later down the line. Obviously, right now Stargate about to finish from Trigger, so we will get into his tech here in just a handful of moments and really start to see just what his plan is for the early game. Obviously, one Oracle for now. We're expecting to see at least 2, maybe even 3, to try and give us an indicator of just what sort of build this is.
Yeah, for sure. I'm interested in what third Trigger is going to be taking here, because there is that in-base third that allows you to take it without, investing as much, but it's not going to yield as much benefits come down the line. So if you go for an opening like this, a lot of the time I like cutting a little bit more, right? But at least it's going to allow for the Oracle to move out on the map without risk. So that's something. Usually you want the Oracle, or it's difficult to have the Oracle go out on the map, because if there's a little bit of a link flood to delay or deny your third, then you need that defensively, or else the links are going to do a little bit too much against the 1 or 2 adepts that you have. So I like this from Trigger. Going to go straight across and gets 2 workers for his troubles. Not bad to start.
Not bad at all, as this Stalker comes and pings the Overlord off to the left-hand side as well. It'd be nice to kill that off, but I don't think it's quite going to be that extreme a situation here, as the Overlord gets pushed away, but it does get to survive, so that can come back later, maybe keep a scout on the gases and just keep an eye on things, or maybe even just become an overseer for a much better scout further down the line. Not 2 Oracles together, and they're going to be accompanied by a third soon enough, it would seem. So heading in all the right directions for just a pretty normal game so far. Scott's trying to make a few extra lings, help deal with these adepts. As the Oracles come in, we are going to get 2 drones, and that will be all. And the adepts, don't think they're going to find too much. That 1 drone there isn't going to be targeted. Those adepts going to get cleaned out.
Yeah, unfortunately for Trigger, he wasn't able to shade into this location that he now occupies, so 1 adept will make it into the natural, but really not finding the damage that he was looking for with the 3 adepts. Scarlett does well to identify that this was a threat, and in spite of her not having the option to really deny a third, as we're, even then, so nice pick off. looking to move out on the map with these links, there is less utility because of the 3-base setup that Trigger is working with, right? Like normally these links would be able to contest for a third, they would be able to force the oracles back. In this particular map, not going to be the case. So yeah, well done from Trigger there. And also with the adepts, I liked it. It's unfortunate that he didn't get to exploit the cracks where they would have traded much more efficiently and potentially killed a couple of drones as well.
Yeah, no, very true. As we do have Oracles at least still looking for some additional damage. A few more drones going down. Scarlett's never quite had a comfortable work account this game.
Not at all.
Has always been on that kind of lower end of things, and she made a big round of Lings, which obviously eventually cleaned up the adepts, but haven't done much else. And of course, it's one of those games as well where Lings are limited in what they can do because the third base is inside the bases, so you can't look to get a cancel on the third at all. That just comes up freely for Trigger. And yeah, so far, I like where Trigger's at. His economy's been good. Scarlett just massing Lings. I do wonder where she takes this as the next step.
Yeah, for sure. If Scarlett wanted to, maybe she could have gotten some value out of the links by breaking rocks around the map, which is probably or usually good for Zerg, especially if you're going into Ling Roach and very swarmy compositions, right? But otherwise, there's not much that she has been able to do with these. She almost has +1 milli, but I don't think that's gonna launch her into any sort of larger aggression. These are just kind of safety links in case Trigger had gone for something crazy, but Trigger has an army that really wasn't intending to move out for a while. Scarlett now adding some roaches, and the key element here in her defense for when Trigger moves out is going to be Ravagers, as force fields, of course, are excellent otherwise.
Yep, absolutely gonna need some Ravagers, otherwise, yeah, force fields kind of just dictate the entirety of the game. As Trigger, what do you think about the Colossus then, Cats? Because I always feel like Colossus are so hit and miss in PvZ, and a lot more of the time they miss than they hit.
Yeah, I don't know. I really personally like Colossus, especially if you have the base sentry counts like to go along with them. I think that you have to work with those sentries. It can seem like it runs out of gas, but usually the initial punch of the Colossus sentries, right, is really powerful, and you start shoving off some units, and it looks like it's going really well for you, and then you run out of sentry energy. So Trigger has to be really careful to spend his force fields and his energy very, very meticulously so that he has a prolonged engagement to work off of and he doesn't run out of gas effectively.
Well, a lot of Ling Ravage up the left side. Scott's going to test the waters over here with a bit of aggression. We see an unfortunate Oracle just flying through. As we'll set up some bars here perhaps. Super battery is popped. Here come the units from the right, and that's going to be Scott deciding to get away, but now she's going to turn and try and jump, and I mean, so far, Trigger just holding the button, waiting for the moment to drop those force fields. Now seems to be it. Let a few of the units through, and then just, well, kind of deal with this pretty well, no? I mean, not really much done at all by Scarlett.
Yeah, not the cleanest force fields, but I really like the blink because it's so easy for Scarlett to turn around at that point and be like, oh, I need to punish you for this. But yeah, unable to do so. So I think it was a very well calculated move there from Trigger, and I like the way and the time that he spent holding those force fields that are going to be so important come the later stages of this mid game. So we'll see. I think that Trigger is massing up to an army that can move out soon, already with the next Colossus coming up. But Scarlett near maxed and now improving her army quality by adding those Banelings as she gets Baneling speed. +2 milli is also done, which means those Banelings with speed and in conjunction with those Dropper Lords that we are now watching being morphed can really ravage mineral lines. This is a difficult position for Trigger to hold. Scarlett knows that she's gonna go for the pulse around here.
Yeah, the Banelings on the right side just not getting there in time, but now she will still get there on the ramp, and what a place for the Banes to start connecting. Colossi are trying to get shots off as they get chased away. Ling Roach is getting on top of those Colossi though, so it's really not turned out too well so far for Trigger. Loses one of the Colossus, they start to get back. The probes now go down as the Banes reach the mineral line, and he just stepped barely onto creep, but that barely was just a step too far.
Yeah, absolutely. It's barely onto creep, but Scarlett has had such great creep spread that the area that creep covers is so wide open, and she was already ready for a flank, right? So it's an option that she opens to herself by virtue of being as good as she has been with the multitasking, with the creep spreading, and now looking to solidify an advantage here. I would imagine one of these goes to the natural and the other one goes to the back base. So she wants to reveal them at the same time if possible. Look for the Dropper Lords to sync up.
Yep, just going to be hitting these mineral lines again. More eco damage is not really what Trigger wants to be taking right now. As Scarlett gained a bit of momentum already. And Trigger
Distracting,
is
three
being
prongs.
distracted. This is gonna be nasty cats.
Oh my god. Absolutely nasty. I mean, perfectly executed from Scarlett, right? Like, you look at the attack at that base, at that 5th base, it looks like, okay, this is probably not going to work. But from Trigger's perspective, you have to respect it. You just established that base. It's kind of open. You just took a bad engagement, but Scarlett not really looking for that damage. She was looking for the damage with the other 2 synced up Overlords. So it's a 3-pronged attack, perfectly timed, and Trigger in a world of trouble and pain now.
And this wall on the right side is just like killing Trigger. He cannot move through it easily at all, and it's just getting him so caught up. I feel like these Banes probably could have found a whole bunch more probes that have wandered back and forth a couple times, but you know what, doesn't seem to matter, as Scarlett just going to get on top of the Colossi and just going to wipe the floor with this army of Trigger. Absolutely nothing else to add, as Trigger is just not going to have enough. The probe's just about to dodge a bile. But yeah, this one seems to be done, and Scarlett is going to be taking first blood.
This is first blood drawn indeed. Trigger is just processing the loss at this point, but yeah, Scarlett, really brilliant game from her. Really, really well done. It really comes down to that surround that you were mentioning on the creep. As soon as Trigger steps out, can't blame Trigger for doing that. He had already maxed out energy on his sentries. He had the 2 Colossus, just a little bit short on firepower, I suppose, and not perfect force fields either, right? So maybe if he could have covered one of the flanks, then you can take an engagement.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you said, right? As long as there's the base sentry count for the force fields for the Colossi, they can be great. But then if the sentries don't land the force fields they need to, the Colossi just don't do enough. They don't get the time they need. They don't have the time they need to fire and clean out banelings, and I feel like that was really just what happened there, so...
Yeah, such a nasty path to retreat as well, right? Past that narrow choke onto a low ground, so... Yeah, very difficult situation from Trigger from there on out. And yeah, Moondance is not going to work out for him. Waterfall is going to be the next map. Smallest map in the map pool. Not the shortest, but the smallest. And very short in any case. So we'll see if we can find something in the early game here.
Well, short maps back to back, right? Just going to be seeing, you know, Moondance is kind of short as well. The only benefit in Moondance is it doesn't get shorter as the game goes on, because the in-base expand is obviously backwards rather than taking a third forward. But yeah, another short map, definitely one where you're going to have to be careful on both sides for attacks that could just come out of nowhere. So yeah, let's see if Trigger can get on track here, or if Scarlett is going to continue to look good. Scarlett obviously leads 1-0, and it honestly wasn't a pretty start. I felt like she was on a bad drone count for a lot of the game. She wasn't quite having the start she wanted to. Like, the Adepts didn't do a lot, but she was still just behind in workers for so much of it. Obviously didn't affect her in the end, but something to maybe think about for game 2, as in the top right, trying to get the first map of himself in this series. It is going to be Basilisk's Trigger.
And in the bottom left-hand side for the Shopify Rebellion, it is the Queen of Blades, Scarlett. Probably reinforcing her belief in herself in this particular matchup from that game. It was a little bit of a smash, not gonna lie.
Once it started, it just didn't stop, right? Like, the first fight, then the baneling drops, then the next attack. The Trigger was stuck, and yeah, it just once it started, it was just like, oh my god, Scarlett is like feeling it right now. She was just not gonna let up at all. So that was very cool. Yeah, beautiful attacks as well. Very methodical. Like you're saying, like those banelings, like it's difficult to sync up everything. And you also have to have the forethought of like, where do I want my opponent to look, right? And she pulls Trigger's attention towards the 5th first, then goes in like seconds after, right? With both baneling drops at the same time. And that's the real damage that she was looking for. And at that point, the win condition is set. You just have to absorb that she was strong enough that she could attack into him anyway. Yep. Yeah. It was very nicely done, as we just have Extract finishing up, Hatch Gas and Pool all on the way in here from Scarlett early. Gonna see a Cybernetics score dropping down with a Nexus. What do you like from the Protoss players on a map like Waterfall? Short rush distance, do you like them to try the Adept stuff, or do you prefer them just to stick to the Stargate, play safe?
It's very difficult to say. I feel like the Protoss styles, like whenever they become meta, they sometimes linger a little bit too long in the meta to where people feel too comfortable with them, and then they just don't mix up their play. So I'm a little bit scared that we're gonna see just a Stargate Oracle opening every time from Trigger. because some players will do stuff like that, right? Like just play what they think is the standard. Whereas I think that mixing it up is good for Protoss. I think that the surprise element is where the race thrives by design. Just having that very open tech tree just by dropping the Cybercore, right? You can go in so many directions from there that if you do the same thing over and over, I'm not a fan. So I am a fan of this. Anything but the same.
Yeah, Robo Facility coming on through. Nexus finishes up on the natural and give it a few moments to see where exactly this Robo is going to take us. Our Stalker just going to go ping away at this Overlord. Scarlett decides she's just going to deep dive into the main base. Not going to turn around, not going to fall back. Happy to just continue through and get the full scout, or at least hope to get the full scout. That Robo is right in the back, though. As Scarlett gets close. Closer.
Oh, don't get it.
No.
She didn't see it. She had the right idea. As soon as she saw the pylon, she covered the grounds as well as she could have, reroutes the Overlord towards there, but not enough to cover everything that she needed. One hex off is going to mean that Trigger will conceal his tech, and he is going seemingly for a Disruptor drop, right?
Yes, I think this might be like a Zaun-esque build, right, where you play like 1-2 Disruptors as a drop, and then you have a few options as what you do on a follow-up. You can play something like a single Colossus 2-base all-in. You can go multiple Colossus, take a third base. You actually have quite a few options, so it's a very fun one to watch and a very fun one to figure out. But very difficult on the Zerg side of things because there are just a few things they could be, and of course you can't let the Disruptors get too much done at any point in time, so you've got to stay on top of it. I like it for Trigger, you know, making something very different happen on a short map can definitely be a way to unsettle Scarlett, perhaps.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, he did probably get to watch her match against Disc yesterday, and this is how he closed off, was with Disruptor drops. So yeah, it didn't work out for him, but it had moments where I felt like it could have. And the Disruptors really, they found like one Queen worth of damage before the actual push. He went for the 2-base push with the one Colossus that you were talking about. So we'll see. I mean, Roaches, not what you want against this style. Links with speed can be pretty decent, but yeah, that's what the Colossus is for exactly. So yeah, we'll see what he can accomplish with these Disruptors. On the side of Scarlett, if you are rooting for her, what you want is for the Queens to be in position to negate the Disruptors from ever dropping into one of your bases. If they drop, there is going to be some damage happening. It's just going to be one Disruptor, however, so he's going to be looking for drone kills rather than Queens. If it's two, you can start looking for Queens a little bit more easily. But here, he just has to aim for the drone line. So now what you're looking for Scarlett is just to be quick enough to evacuate, if not completely deny the entrance like I was suggesting earlier of this Warp Prism. That's a wonderful job of that.
Yeah, one Queen taking a hit's fine because Queens don't even die. So yeah, it just gets to stay alive. And I mean, we are seeing all of the gates added. That single Colossus, like I mentioned, and this is going to be a big old push. It is fast, and Scarlett is droning a lot more than I think she should be. Those 5 extra drones felt a bit unnecessary, and she's missing minerals, which could have been more Roaches already. The good news for Scarlett is that so far, the Disruptors really haven't done much, right? So the Disruptor part of this has really been unsuccessful, so maybe she can still get enough together to deal with this large attack now.
Yeah, yet still, damage onto the Queens is going to be relevant, right? Because they're going to be looking to get involved here. And that is a lot of damage. It's nearly a dead Queen. So we'll see if Scarlett can account for that, get some transfuses going her way, as Trigger is doing a good job of just clearing creep whilst waiting for the Colossus. You don't want to engage anyway, so you might as well just be as diligent as you can be. Here come the Zerglings, and they're going to get this round until the Colossus need to pick it up with the Warp Prism, perhaps to relocate it behind the rest of the army. Scarlett doesn't really have us around in terms of Roaches, which is not going to bode well for her. And now 2 Queens of the healthy ones as well will get forced off by force fields, and things are looking very good for Trigger, perhaps a little bit too preemptive of an engagement from a Scarlett that maybe wasn't expecting for the Colossus to be as close to the army as it was.
Yeah, Colossus showed up at the perfect time for that attack coming in, and then the Disruptor just went toward the Roaches. I feel like because obviously the Colossus was there, Scarlett thought the Lings around the back might draw the Disruptor's attention, but no, the Disruptor hit brilliantly, and yeah, this is just obviously bad first fight. Probably don't recover from there, as a few units will try and trail into it. We just see a huge warp in, and this is just going to be Trigger picking up this game number 2 to tie the series 1-1. Dancing as well. Get out in the game. And we're all tied up.
You love to see the dance as well. I mean, a little bit of a disrespect spitting in the Queen of Blades' face. She's been around for 12 years, young man. You don't dance on her. But I love it, because I mean, if it unsettles me, it's probably, you know, it probably bugs Scarlett a little bit. She is very proud, a very proud player, so yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it makes Scarlett mad. I feel like Scarlett plays better when she's mad as well. So
That's likely, yeah.
yeah, I feel like that's something you shouldn't be tempting fate with. But well, alas, he did. We'll see if it backfires a trigger, if it was justifiable. As we go to Data C for map number 3 of the series. So a quick 1-1 cuts, right? Pretty quick first game for Scarlett, and even quicker game 2 from Trigger. And this series so far, aggressive, speeding along. Now we stretch out a little bit in terms of the maps. Now the map gets a little bit bigger, more likely to see a longer game. Definitely waiting to see what's going to happen here in just a second, as apparently Scarlett is invading Trigger's webcam. So some of that, some going on.
That's amazing. You joined my video call, I think.
And that admin's like, actually, you're meant to be in the same place. And she was like,
oh, that's interesting.
That's how it's worked the entire last 2 weeks.
Yeah. That is so funny. But yeah, completely. And to your point, I mean, that map was kind of perfect for the strategy that Trigger chose for it, right? Because it is a shorter rush distance, and you're so reliant on that Colossus arriving, for example, in time. The robo units are really going to benefit from that more than anything else. Also, a little bit of a twist from Trigger in terms of timing as compared with this. This went for the, for example, for the War Prism speed, a little bit more common. He went for 2 disruptors and then went for a timing. This hit fast.
So quick. Yeah, and I think that's what caught Scarlett off guard, right? Because she was definitely still adding drones when she needed to be cutting. And I think, what can she do to notice that? Maybe just the fact there was no second disruptor, right? Because if there's a second disruptor, why wouldn't the Prism go back and get it at some point? You know, so those are the things that maybe she could have seen and figured out a little bit to just get a heads up on that. Because, yeah, she was still drone. She definitely wasn't aware. And then obviously the fight was a bit preemptive, / maybe she just was never going to have enough stuff to fight everything, considering how early it hits. So
yeah, there's uncertainty as well from the Overlord not getting the scout that she was looking for early on as well. Yeah, that would have been good to get a heads up really early on and start kind of adapting your plan for that. Also, the upgrades didn't play, you know, much of a part for her. So she was playing kind of like a scaling style, and it just didn't work out for her. Very small map gets punished. But let's see if this man for Basilisk can do it once again, evening out the series. In the bottom left-hand side, the red Protoss player, Trigger.
And in the top right, not able to hold on last time around, but let's see if we can change that up now. It is Scarlett.
The wonderful thing about triggers is triggers are wonderful things. Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
It's from Winnie Pooh. I love it.
Winnie the Pooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice one, Cuts.
Yeah, Trigger's probably the best character in Winnie Pooh.
Yeah? He's just so happy and bouncy, right? Like,
Yeah,
I like him.
Yeah, I like him as well. And we're gonna see a little bit of a standard opening here from Trigger. It's gonna be Nexus after the gateway, so 20 Cybercore expected here. Nothing out of the ordinary. No scout maybe is the only thing that we are lacking here. And again, like, this is the sort of thing that Scarlett can take into account, that he has scouted on the shorter map, so this is a calculated risk. And yeah, that means, you know, it's harder for Scarlett to exploit it. If this was the third map that he doesn't scout, then maybe next map you get 12 pulled. But yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly true. It's hard to punish someone who is playing it smart rather than just trying to be lucky, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and this is kind of the NA flair, right? Like when we play similarly as we have the Aim High Air Force split screen, hells yeah. But yeah, when we watch, for example, EU and the Trigger equivalent players, right? Like maybe not the very, very, very top of EU, but right under them, they tend to be methodical enough that they are willing to do the same thing over and over. The scout timings are always the same, right? Like the openings are always the same. And yeah, I love that from Trigger, is he is willing to mix it up. He is willing to use the full power of Protoss and the game of StarCraft in concealing information and giving different information away and keeping your opponent guessing at all points.
Yeah, fun to see on the split screen there. Just obviously Scarlett trying to get that Overlord info, more information. Trigger trying to deny that information with the Stalker, and Scarlett, look what she's doing, man. No scout. Rotoron's finishing up. We're going to build a ton of roaches. We are going to send it. Scarlett likes to do this. She did this in Valencia, Game 5 against Hostum in a heartbreaker of a loss. And Yeah, I mean, it's the sort of thing which if you just don't see coming, is almost impossible to defend. And there is no vision on the scout from Trigger. He's not even sent his initial adept across to see what's up.
Yeah, and we were talking about it, right? Like, it's kind of like the trademark of Scarlett. That's an illegal move. That's no scout for a little bit too long. Where is your units? You don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna do you dirty. And we saw something similar from Cyril as well, where he adapted, right? Like, he was going for some sort of all-in, then he gets scouted, he stops. Scarlett has no reason to stop because she knows that her opponent doesn't know.
This is the moment now where Trigger might see no third hatchery, and it's like, oh, that's something I should have seen with my scouting worker. Oh, wait, I never sent one, right? And Oracle gets turned around, and these roaches are very close to arriving. He is so clueless. He's building a third. And this is not going to be a fast game. Not going to be a long game, sorry. This could be a fast game, yeah. Wrong way around.
Yeah, I feel you there.
It's so fast, I don't even think we can call it fast.
I don't think we could. I don't think we're gonna be able to finish this sentence before it ends. Do you think? I don't. I mean, the sentence is definitely becoming a little bit long.
Just keep talking. Oh! The counter dance.
The counter dance, but with the actual command in game. Scarlett showing Trigger how it's done, and I love that because it was a dance before the game is technically over. I guess for Trigger it was also the case, but. Yeah, you absolutely love to see it, and Trigger is going to force the tap out right. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, I just like the kind of dance. I think Trigger was laughing a bit there as well when he got danced on.
Not a smile on the Queen's face, though. I feel like that. I feel that was a little spiteful dance. I will allow myself to.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You get danced on in the last game. You're like, yeah, cool. You did an all-in. Look at how cool this is. Oh, isn't it fun? Dying to an all-in you didn't see coming. Wow. Let me dance on you.
Yeah.
That's how I feel it goes. Probably not quite word for word, but that's how I would approach it, Cass.
Wordless bound. Wordless. What is the word I'm looking for? Sheesh. Banter. Wordless banter. Yeah.
Wordless banter.
The best we've had all day.
The best we've.
Is that a thing? Wordless banter.
Wordless banter. I mean, just banter where you don't talk.
Yeah, I mean that was beautiful. I love it. I mean, it really adds a little bit of spice, a little bit of nerves and tension to the match, right? There's some pride on the line that they are kind of putting. It's like, yeah, the stakes are high. Let's put a little bit more. Let's put our pride and ego as well on the line.
I think it's fair to say it's the last time we'll see no scout from Trigger, because that's the sort of thing you do not want to die to a second time in a series, right? So. Not looking ideal down a game, and a very fast one at that. Obviously, let's see if you can switch it up and scout and not die early. Obviously, it just means that as well. Whatever your plan was there, just get scrapped early. You never get to show it, and now you've got to reset a little bit to kind of bring out your plan on inside and out.
Yeah. Also, I will note Scarlett hasn't... Scarlett and Trigger both not good luck funning before the game. We'll see if they do it in game, but I am interested in this. I am.
You interested?
I like the drama. And yeah, you love to see it. We are starved for drama in StarCraft. Let's be real. So wow. Yeah. Let's see. Is there a good luck of fun? This is what I'm interested in. The top right-hand side of the map with no good luck of fun thus far. It is Trigger.
No luck, no fun, bottom left, 12 pool, Scarlett.
No luck, no fun, no respect. And if Trigger doesn't scout again, if he thinks, okay, you got me there, but because it's very reasonable not to scout here, right? Like, because you just got tricked, you don't expect your opponent will go for 2 all-ins in a row, but it's all up to this pro. Will he choose to scout?
He's not going to scout. No, because he went gas first. You don't scout with gas first because of the way it works out.
You're dead, pretty much. I mean, it's so difficult to hold a 12 pool without scouting.
It's the one thing you die to.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you go gas first, you're basically like, oh, please don't 12 pool me, and anything else is fine. Obviously, last game, you could have probably scouted a bit later. Yeah, this is why, because now you hit 16 out of 16 minerals nicely, you hit 3 out of 3 on gas nicely. The timing is just really good, apparently. So, yeah.
Interestingly, this game may have ended in 30 seconds, but it's the aftermath of that as we are in a game that may as well be over. I mean, Trigger's gonna have to pull an incredible feat here, as he's gonna go for the standard 20 Cybercore, and he's not gonna see the links until they arrive. The links are gonna attack themselves onto a pylon. Yeah, I think it's like 30. I think it's like 1 or 2 more seconds longer than the fastest. And just to catch all the action, here is the U.S. Air Force aim high. as there's probably not going to be another opportunity to plug that in. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Trigger, when does he see it? He sees it now, and he looks, his face on his camera just knew instantly, and he's going to pull the probes, but this pylon is pretty much dead, right? I think you can just hard commit to it. You're not going to lose many lings, if any. Sneaks them away.
Wow.
Yeah, perfect for Scarlett. No unit out on the map. This is worst case scenario.
Yeah, Trigger's doing everything that he can to corral the links. If Scarlett escapes with these 4, then they can join with a new 4, and now you can start trading as Scarlett here on the choke. And maybe over-microing a little bit there is Scarlett. I mean, good job from Trigger to kind of segregate the links in 2 groups there.
But Trigger has no mining, basically.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Oh, this is, I mean, this is a terrible situation no matter how you put it, but I am surprised by the fact that he is alive at all.
Yeah, I mean, 7 probes die, 14 to 13. It's just how long he wasn't mining for, I think, is the issue. Anything else, I wouldn't have mined too much, but he's still stuck on 22 minerals. He had 3 workers left in the main. It's just going to be a long time till he affords anything, right? As these 2 lings still looking for 1 extra probe kill as well. And Scarlett even has a couple more lings approaching the natural as we speak. She takes a worker lead. That's not meant to happen this part of the game. And there's another probe.
Yeah, and those are stacking up quickly. Scarlett, I think she had the surface area to turn onto that one, but Trigger quick to the trigger. And yeah, I mean, again, Scarlett in a very advantageous position, I would say. But Trigger is alive, and that is much more than I would have expected. And I think it's two contributing factors. A, he used his entire mineral line. Cool. He did corner 2 of the links of Scarlett, so they couldn't join with the rest of the links. And then put his probes between the 2 groups of links, so that Scarlett could never join those and have the surface area where they're covering each other, right? So the probes always, in being in greater numbers, had more surface area. And Adept is going to kill a drone there. And another one, perhaps.
Okay.
Oh.
And another one. Okay, no. Not this time. Yeah, Adept shades out. You have Adept. This one. Adept wants to get lucky as well. This time Scarlett gets the spore crawl in time, gets the second one in time. 3rd spore.
Oh, he could have got that one.
Wow.
Yeah, he could have definitely tried for that one. He could have definitely got that drone towards the tail end, but still. Some damage inflicted from Trigger, who is 27 workers to the 33 of Scarlett. Stargate on the way, and yeah, as much as Scarlett is in an advantageous position, Trigger did very well to stay alive here.
Yeah. I gotta say, yeah, very, very impressed that he is alive, obviously, but we'll see how it continues. I mean, as the Stargate gets up, like I say, usually the Zerg isn't ahead on drones so early, right? And that's definitely got to be the impact. Yeah, her 3rd hatchery is kind of late. But she gets for 44 workers. She can invest in a bit of tech, maybe. She puts down the roach drone, for example. Just get the 3rd hatch online, have some roaches, and maybe we just go from there, because obviously the tech of Trigger is extremely late as well.
Yeah. Let's see. These 3 Adepts are likely going to take the shade. They get 1 drone for their troubles. As one of them gets microed away. Really beautiful, because you only need the 2, right? So Trigger's doing all the right moves here, trying to get a little bit more of an edge. As Scarlett continues to drone up like crazy. So only a couple of links. That's going to be enough to deter the shade from finishing. And yeah. I mean, the game will continue to stabilize here. The first Oracle is now on its way as the 3rd for Trigger also goes down.
Yeah, gonna drop that straight away. Instant lair from Scarlett. So she just continues to tag 2 queens here. Gonna get some free shots on the Oracle. I mean, I guess the Oracle probably wanted to see if there's a lair in the main, so not a bad scout.
Yeah, good recall as well. Identifying that there is link speed available for Scarlett will save all of the Adepts. Very, very essential units here for the defense at the 3rd, but Scarlett's gonna try to see what she can get done here for the time being. Probably going after the shield battery would be a good idea right off the bat. She's gonna do that, click it right away. That is gonna force a cancel on that, and that means Trigger's gonna have to remake that. And there's also like a period where he has to be able to feel a little bit susceptible. So, you know, he has to keep it on the back of his mind that Scarlett could come back and try to kill his 3rd. So his defense is going to be offense as he adds additional gateways. And yeah, in conjunction with the Templar Archives, we are likely to see Trigger make a bunch of units and kind of stay basic on the units, right? Forge coming as well, so I guess it's going to be a little bit of a later timing.
Yeah, just harass a little bit or set up a little bit while. Well, I guess not without a robo facility, so. It's going to see the Oracles, though. They will find 3 drones. Not bad, right? He's definitely found some good chipping damage the game, but this is where Scarlett's just going to commit to her attack, drop a Lord's Overlord speed. She's going to bring the queens.
I love it.
And all of the setup from Trigger here is just not enough, right? I mean, these gates aren't ready, +1, blink, an eternity away. The oracles are going to be hit by the queens. The best thing you can do right now is at least see this coming, which you kind do. Start building a mass of batteries because you are going to need them.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Scarlett is even angling towards this area. I think the third is the more sensible location, perhaps, but I mean, she's gonna park herself here in the middle.
Maybe just the choice between natural and third, and then you can hit whatever's weaker. It forces batteries in 2 locations, right? First Overlord was taking some shots. You obviously need the Overlords to spread the creeps so the queens can transfuse. I would be surprised if we don't see a creep teamer go down. And there it is. There's already Lings and Roaches in the natural that the Oracles are dealing with, sure. But that just means there's no defense really available on the third base. And this is going to be just overrunning. Roach, Ravager, knocking down the super battery, and Trigger is about to say goodbye to the DreamHack Masters this season.
Yeah, I absolutely love this kind of move from Scarlett here. Very decisive, snowball in the advantage, smelling blood in the water.